Okay. Thank you very much for coming around. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for coming around. Please, can you confirm that you can see the brief?
I can see it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming.
I can see it.
Fantastic. So, this session is for the STEM innovators, everyone involved with Design and Make Challenge 2025. So it's actually an opportunity to have a conversation. So it's expected that you may have started your project and there may be questions, or you may want to share experience, know what others are doing, how they are approaching their problems. So it's part of the communication learning, communication skills learning session. So do not withhold yourself. If you have an idea, put it forward. If you have a question, put it forward. So all these processes are geared towards you developing new skills, developing digital skills, developing communication skills, developing problem-solving skills, developing design skills. So, or applying them, because you may have developed them elsewhere in the course of your training or as you are studying in the school. So you now have opportunity to apply them on real problems. Okay, so please, I'm emphasizing this so that we know exactly what we are doing. We are running an experiment. All of us, we want to learn. So instead of, saying, okay, when I get an opportunity, I then learn how to communicate, I then how to work in a team. No, you are in it. So start doing it. As you are doing it, you are learning, you are improving yourself, you are reflecting on what you are doing, and you are making progress. So that's the whole essence of a Design and Make challenge. So it's a challenge. It's not easy. Okay. So how we are going to proceed is that I would allow any of the team members to share experience of maybe what you are doing, whether there are challenges, and I can then pick it up from there. Some of the challenges may be connected to the brief, or I can quickly use, let's say, 5 minutes to go through the brief, and then we can then have that conversation. So Design and Make challenge is fundamentally designed for African STEM graduates or undergraduates, and is deliberately tailored to meet the needs of Africa we want 2063 using STEM and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 of them. So, of course, I use this opportunity to thank our sponsors. These are our sponsors: the Ebonyi State Government, Prime Shaft Limited, Dialogic Engineering, Carbon Europa, Onitsha Education Foundation, Green STEM Educational and Charitable Foundation, NatQuest Limited, Linus Okovi Foundation, Ijomangu Itajoko, Francis Ogbonnaya, Engineer Rex Ojo Ogbonnaya, Engineer Ugu Chikwado. So all these people sponsored this challenge so that you wouldn't have to pay any money. So initially, the students were supposed to pay 70,000 to register, but due to their sponsorship, none of you had to pay any amount to participate in this. So I will go straight to the intended learning outcomes. So at the end of this process, we expect you to apply those academic skills you've been learning from year one up to your final year if you have graduated. Okay, we expect you to propose a scientific solution, which means that you expect you to first of all identify the problem and then devise a way to generate solution. That's scientific method. Okay. So we also expect you to also reflect on how you can improve your interpersonal and intrapersonal skills. There may be times you may say something, you wonder, oh, are they not listening to me? Or you make suggestion, you say, I hope I'm making sense. So you start observing yourself, reflecting on how people respond to your ideas, how people respond to your approach. So you start moderating it, you start adjusting, because wisdom is at the balance level. Wisdom is at the middle. Wisdom is not at the extreme left, it's not at the extreme right. So wisdom is at the middle, and wisdom is about balance. So if you are too cold, it's not good. If you are too hot, it's not good. Okay. I'm not talking about the biblical, neither cold nor hot. No, you know. So we're talking about understanding when to be hot and understanding when to be cold. That's more like a thermostat. So if something is always hot or something cold, always cold, that's not good. So it's good to understand when should I push my team members. Look, gentlemen, we had deadline coming, and if we don't do anything, I don't think we are going to meet our objectives and goal. I think we should do something about this. Okay, that's being hot, raising our arm, when ideas are ongoing, coming down and say, okay, let me listen, let me see other people's perspective, let me also learn from others. It's not being cold, but that's what I mean by, okay, slowing down and then knowing when to be fast. So these are some of the dynamics that dynamics that help us to learn, and we want you to be in it. So reflect on the significance of your projects, what have you learned, and apply lean and agile thinking. We are not giving you so much resources to solve these problems. So you are going to solve the problem based on the resources at your disposal. So presentation skills for those who will go to the second stage, and communication skills. So you create a prototype if you are able to do that. And don't forget that even if you don't create a prototype, that doesn't mean that you will not win. Okay, so there are two outputs. Stage one will be reports. You can just create a report. You know how you write your project report, final year. And if you've not done final year project, this is an opportunity for you to learn from those who have done and see how you develop it, the title page, the cover, the table of content. And so there are some skills that we are challenging you to demonstrate. So this project is forcing you to bring that skill out. The first one is creativity and innovation. And that's where you have to do research. Okay, how do you do research? Okay, so you use Google, you use ChatGPT, you use all sorts of things to do research. But what are you researching on? So you select your project, okay, we want to know more. What is research? Research is about knowing more about the problems you want to solve. What has others done? How have they approached the problems? What was the output? Then you look at it and then know how to position your approach. So you are going to apply all these skills: creativity, brainstorming, because you are in a group, interpersonal skills, scientific thinking. So that's the first challenge skill. The second challenge skill is engineering skills, because you're going to design something. So if you're able to sketch something and it has to be original, your work has to be original. Okay, like it's not just about when you go to the internet, you find something that has already been done, you can now take it, it becomes yours. No, you can look at what others have done and then design your own. You can even show what others have done and show how your own is innovative or how your own is original. So your contribution must be, apparent in whatever prototype. And you can evidence that through your sketching, engineering drawings, and software outputs, and all of that. Project management, it has to do with how you organize yourself as a team, and how you are approaching the problems, and how you are documenting, taking decisions, managing problems, and then making progress to realize the aims and objective of this project. Another challenge skill is that, are you able to document and show evidence of what you've done? That's documentation. So we want to use this opportunity to get those who have not learned how to prepare CV. Because when you graduate or when you start looking for jobs or scholarship and all of that, one of the things they will ask you is to submit your CV. So we want to use this opportunity to get those who have not done that to submit their CV. Again, you can just Google it, Google prepare how to prepare a good CV, and then you look at it and match your information to any of the templates you want. That's it. So you can prepare it, and then it has to be part of the attachment. You put it as part of the attachment. It may just be one page. Okay, you look at the criteria elements of a CV, educational background, education. It may just be your secondary school and your current university. That's fine. Work experience. Even if you volunteered in anything, you can put it there. Prizes and awards, you put everything there. That's CV. We want to know you by reading your CV. Academic writing, how you write your grammar, how you connect everything to SDG, making meaning of all the things you've done and communicating it such that when somebody reads a report, the person will have an insight of what you've done, the significance of the decisions you've taken, and how you arrived at the final output. So if you do that, you can submit that for stage 1. So those who excel, we now go to stage 2. Okay, so they will have a final competition at stage 2. That's where we now have the first, second, and third. So you can have a strategy to develop a prototype that will give you extra 30 points. However, if you are not able to develop a prototype, that's not a problem. You can make a presentation and present the designs, demonstrate how the prototype can be made if it is to be made. That can still give you a point. Okay. But if you arrive at a prototype, you could see that it could give you a significant, and you can actually use scrap, you can use old materials to develop your prototype. It doesn't mean that you need to go and buy a completely new set of materials to develop your prototype. If you can do that, fine. If not, you can use whatever you have to do it. So we are making it in a way that you will not be limited by anything, and you mustn't complete the project to come first. That's the beauty of this. So, and that is why the lean and agile approach and continuous improvement means that it's not only when you get to the final destination that you record success. No, you can record success from day one. In fact, for still being here, for still working on this project, that's a measure of success. Okay, so like I said, this is an opportunity for you to use AI. You can use Gemini, you can use Copilot. Feel free to use it. The whole essence is to use it to solve problems. Now, when you go to school, you need to use it in the way it has been recommended so that you don't get into problems of plagiarism or you don't abuse it by just prompting things and copying the output and all of that. No, you can use AI to give you structure, give you ideas, give you papers that are solving the problems, and maybe rewrite your text that you have written, and many other things you can use it for. Okay, so this also summarizes the stages of the challenge. So submission, how do you submit? You just convert your document into PDF and send it to info@dialogicsl.com. And feedback will be given to one of the team members. So the team lead or a delegated person should do the submission. One of you should do the submission. And in your document, it should be clearly identifiable so that we know which team and the members that contributed. Not all the members in the group, but the members that contributed. And each person should be able to be sincere and say, yes, I contributed. So these are the projects, and you are probably in one of the groups. So how are we doing in terms of timelines? Okay, so we've done briefing. Submission of the report, 30th May. Okay, the submission of the report is coming forward. That's the next thing. And by 12th July, we are going to release the reports. We'll mark all the reports. We are going to send it to us to mark, and they will give us feedback and say, yes, this person got so point. And then we can then use it to decide who is going to stage 2 And they will be notified immediately on or before 12th July, so that they will have to prepare and attend the presentation. Of course, if any group that didn't make the presentation, they can still attend, because that presentation will be public. We are going to announce it to using our platforms and invite people to attend the presentation and the award ceremony. Okay. So we've given you suggested. Suggested means that you can amend this. Okay. But if you use this, it will actually capture the different sessions that will be assessed. Okay. It will capture the summary, the content, all those challenges and everything. So if you go to stage 2, this is how you can structure your presentation. Okay, you can structure your presentation using this template. So learning an agile workshop, we've done that, and yeah, so yes, so that's it. So during the presentation, you'll be allowed to invite your friends because it's going to be public, and yes. So we thank our sponsors, and we thank you for participating, because we want Africans to be very innovative, creative. The more problems we have in Africa or Nigeria, the more opportunities we have. However, we need to learn the skills to translate problems into solutions, to create solutions that can solve problems. And that's exactly what you are doing. Okay, so with this presentation, I want to yield the floor for interactions. First of all, let's start with questions. Do you have any questions so far with respect to the brief? If there's any aspect of the brief, that is not clear yet, please let me know so that I can address that session. So you can raise your hand if you want to speak. Thank you. Yeah. Is there any aspect of the brief that is not clear? Yeah. I want to take silence as no. So the brief is clear. Okay. So let's go to the second phase. Of course, you can ask questions at any point in time. So the second, okay, yeah, Ikechukwu, go ahead.
Thank you for the presentation. My name is Chukwuma Okoro. My question is, you talked about creating a prototype of the design that a team is working on.
Yeah.
So, and for instance, there are teams working on certain kind of project that you cannot just get. Okay. That the prototype really, you need to buy some of these items for you to get a reasonable prototype, even though it's going to be small. So I don't know, is there any way you can substitute these materials with any other material that is not in line with what you are presenting?
Yeah, that's the essence of prototype. To substitute materials to demonstrate models. So the answer should be yes. For instance, now, if you are supposed to use a metal and you can use plastic, that will also serve as prototype. So again, if you think, okay, we cannot produce a prototype, but we can demonstrate how the prototype can be done, that's also good, because it counts. Or if a group say, yes, we can, okay, this thing will cost us, let's say, 500 naira. Okay. Let's say 5,000 naira. And they say, okay, let's go ahead and contribute 5,000 naira. And and create our prototype. Okay, and they go ahead and then create the prototype. You see that group now, for just making a little bit of sacrifice, it has moved them. It has moved them towards a better outcome, because they are now competing within that 30% mark. Okay, so the project, the challenge is designed in a way that it's up to you to make financial sacrifice or to take alternative routes. I don't know whether
thank you.
response is John, please go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Yeah.
My own question is still based on what he like asked. For instance, we are doing design, like real design, and we are to design reading lamp. So, and if you go to the electrical part, there is a whole lot of things you cannot just let me say improvise. Like there is a whole, based on the features of what we want, there is a lot of things we cannot improvise. Like some of them I don't really think we can see them around. Some of them we need to like order them. And in a case like that, what are we supposed to do? Secondly, my next question is that in that design, I want to ask, like, are we detailing everything, including the structure? Because from my understanding of what design is, you are writing like you have both drawings and other parts. They have the electrical. Let me talk from my own part. They have the electrical part and the mechanical part. So, and each of those parts, let me say you have a stick, and that stick is just supposed to bend. Are we to put those details of the parameters and the shapes and how it is made up of? Like, is it that detailed? That's what I want to know. And secondly, in cases where you cannot improvise, what are we supposed to do in those kind of cases? Please, that's my question. Hello? Amaram, sir. Hello? Voila.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. I am done with my question. I don't know whether you understand me. Hello? Hey, my network.
Just hold on. The moderator will send to you because it's like maybe he's on a call.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
John, I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to my internet. So where the last point I heard you was when you say that you people are doing electrical design.
Like I am asking that number one is that in cases where you cannot improvise, for instance, I'm using our own project. There are parts you cannot just improvise. You just need to get those things direct. I said in cases like that, what are we supposed to do? And in the second one is that, for instance, the aspect we are also working on, it has two parts. If you look at a lamp, it has both the mechanical and the electrical parts. So I'm asking, in the design, are we to detail everything? Let me assume that you want to talk about the stick of the light, the base. Are we to detail the parameters that was used? What is the diameter and all those things? Because in engineering, all those details are very important, even going down to the type of material that is being used. So I'm asking, this design we are talking about, is this detailed like that, or it's just to cut out something up and then work up? Like, I want to get a real picture of the depth of what we should do.
What did the brief say? What do you think the brief say? To what level do you think the brief say you should go?
I don't understand.
The brief described the engineering section what level did the brief say you should go?
I'm not gone through that book. Oh, I'm sorry for that. Not gone through it.
So that's, you need to go through the book. You shouldn't have done anything without going through the book. If not, what are you doing without going through the book? The first thing you do is when your client gives you instruction, you read the specifications, then understand the problems. That is when you now start solving it. So the first thing everyone should do is to read and digest the brief. The brief is what your client has said you should do. And then you now start devising methods to realize the brief. So I think you should go and read the brief.
Okay. Then in the other part that I said, in places that we cannot improvise things, like the first person who asked a question said, what are we supposed to do there? Are we supposed to donate money?
You are supposed to go to item 1, which is creativity and innovation. So there should be no cannot in the project. So the essence of this is to create ways. And there are various things you can do. And another thing I've said is that a prototype is not the real thing. For instance, now if I'm developing just as an example, if I'm developing let's assume a lamp. If I don't have a kind of the base, I can use cardboard to construct. But in constructing this isn't constructing the casing and all of that with cardboard. That's a model. That's a prototype. So it does not mean you should go to. So now, if you reduce that, you may just see that maybe it's just the vital, or maybe 50% of the components that you now have to then acquire. And even if you don't, like I said before, that doesn't mean that you will not, even be somebody can still be first without creating a prototype. However, you should demonstrate that your system can be prototyped. Okay. So I don't know whether I answer your question. So prototype does not mean you should create a real thing. Maybe prototype may also be a miniature of the big thing. If you want to create maybe an air engine, you may create a small dimension of it. Okay, you just create a small version of it, a reduced scale of it. That's same thing as prototype.
Okay, like, sorry, it is still the same thing that I am saying. For instance, now, you know, just like projects are prototypes. Projects that we do in the schools, they are all prototypes. For instance,
Yeah.
if I want to build a lamp, I need switches like transistors, MOSFETs, I need batteries. I need vero boards. I need a whole lot of most of that things in order to build my electrical circuits. I need very well. So now, most of all these things, it is not something like it. I am not talking about this body. So most of all these things, there are things that I need to get. I need LEDs, depending on the kind of design that I want. So in matters like this, that's why I'm asking: is the team supposed to, let me say, get money and then build it, or is there any incentive for it?
No, there is no incentive. Let me repeat what I've said. If you think that you can spend money and build your prototype for this project, it's up to you. If you think that we will just detail how to build a prototype without spending money, and then even go to the essence of listing both the cost of each of the materials. In fact, you can even list the cost of the materials, all the details, the materials and everything, and say, we could not build this because of funding. Okay. Anybody that does that will score more marks than somebody who just say, we finish doing the research. This is what we want to do, but we could not build a prototype. So your effort will stretch from doing research to having a working prototype. So within that spectrum of doing the research, knowing the product and all of that, to creating a working prototype, are you at 50? Are you at 80? Are you at 100? So the point here is that you can be at even 40, 50, 80, 100 and still be part of the competition. So that's just the point. So that you are finding it difficult, yes, it's agreed, it's acceptable, but that's the essence of the challenge. Are you able, do you know that if you are building a lamp, you may create your lamp without the casing and demonstrate the switch. A lamp can work without the casing.
Yes, I know. I
Yeah,
know of
so
that.
you can
I know of
demonstrate
that.
just the electrical circuit, including how it will be, you can, so as much as you have, you can still demonstrate that. That's also so it's scaled down, or it's an aspect of it. So one will just say, okay, yeah, so what is remaining is just the casing. That's also a way forward. So yeah, so it's just something that you have to agree what is feasible, and that's the essence of the challenge. What is feasible in terms of the finance, in terms of the technical difficulty. If you want to do this, these are the decisions that you have to make under your project management. And if you're able to explain, for instance, nobody's going to penalize you if you say, we were able to do the designs, we did this, but there was no money to do the prototype. Nobody's going to blame you. In fact, that shows that you know exactly what you are doing. But that doesn't mean if another group say, okay, yes, we designed and we went ahead, we contributed each person 5,000 naira, and this is our working prototype. Nobody is also going to say, oh, why did you contribute money to do this? So that's just it. So at the end of the day, each of you will have to take decision based on what is available to you. Okay. Yeah, I don't know whether I answered the question correctly or to your satisfaction.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other question, contribution, experience? Okay, so
Hello?
yeah.
I have something to say. Like, for instance, please, I want to ask, is there any software you can help suggest to us that could help us build structure, like something I can use to do a structural design of the mechanical part of something? I have a lot of electrical because that is my field. So, but I have little or no in that of mechanical. I only know the hardware and not the software of it. So I don't know. If there is, please let us suggest to us. So some of us will like really need it.
Okay, so have you people searched online or
Yeah,
YouTube?
there is a one I saw online, but the thing is not giving me clarity. Majorly AutoCAD, but that
No,
AutoCAD is
AutoCAD, you have to subscribe. But
yeah that
there are software. Okay, we'll get back to you on that. We'll send an
okay.
email
So
to everybody. Is there any other thing that is lacking that you people need? Is there any other thing? Okay, what are other challenges that you're facing?
um, sorry that
No,
that I almost
no. Feel free to ask your questions,
okay.
make contributions. That's the
Please,
essence of the session.
please, they should talk to people who most people are not really active. Most people are not. They are not really active. And I just discovered that maybe since most of them are listening students, And this is exam period, like almost all the schools across Nigeria now, they are
Yeah.
writing exams within this period. But I'm just saying, if people will just help to encourage, yeah, we know it is hard to pay more attention to other things, most especially when you have courses that are really, really disturbing. Yeah. So, but they should try even 30 minutes to 1 hour a day to just do one or two things. It could help. So
Okay.
I am just
So
asking for that encouragement.
that's a very good one. So in terms of your project management, there is this RACI chart. So what the project leader or the team member should do is to agree on tasks that each person should be doing. And that's part of teamwork and project management. So if the person is not contributing and the thing it is affecting the team members, so yeah, the team member can reach out to the person and then find out if the person is still interested and willing to contribute. So if the person is not willing to contribute and the work has to be done, another person can take it up. But what I want to say is that if it is maybe 3 persons that worked on the project, it does not mean that we added 6 persons, the 6 persons will be carried forward or will benefit from this. No. So we know that people would just be there without doing anything. Okay, so each person has to contribute something. It may be compiling the report. It may be, and of course, you can set up maybe a Google page, or somebody can just be compiling it at the other end. Google storage, OneDrive, and somebody can be helping to write the reports. If somebody is working on the mechanics and all of that, so people must be contributing. And if they don't, you don't need to force them, but they cannot also just benefit from what they did not work for. So these people should benefit from what they worked for, which is part of the essence of this project. EKHQ, please.
Yeah, good afternoon once again. Thank you so much. I think this meeting is timely. I just want to make a contribution as regards the challenges most of the groups might be facing, because my group too is facing similar challenge as well. I think one of the challenges that the team members are not in one geographical location. So it's a challenge, but thank God for a medium like this that can actually help galvanize members to come online and speak. So to respond to what the last speaker was like encouraging the Dialogic Dialogue to help us do about encouraging members. I think it is not actually the duty of this organization to do that for us. It is those of us that are involved, that are present in this meeting, that are supposed to shoulder that responsibility in our different platforms. What I have learned here is that from the brief you made, you talked about being hot and being cold and all that. So the team members that are present here should drive that spirit of teamwork among members. Encourage others. Encourage others. You can put up meetings and all that. Keep reminder so that the things that can actually help. So the Dialogic Solution Limited has done what they need to do by putting up a meeting like this to encourage members to tell us what we need to do and all that. So I'm suggesting that most of the groups should maybe time to time create a kind of meeting venue, online meeting venue to interact. Keep doing that. And as you said, sharing our work, this is a project work could be shared. You write project chapter 1, you write chapter 2, you write chapter 3, like that. Or you source for material like this, source for then for the prototype, I think I've learned that it is not must that we must present the real thing. So we can improvise. Improvising with any material at our disposal, whatever we can lay our hands on, can become an improvise. So just that we need to indicate properly, this is what this stands for, and put it in such a way that it will look like that which we want to show. So I want to thank the organizers of this program. I think it is a worthwhile venture because someone like me, I've been a kind that look out for something gets me involved in practical work, not just the theory. I've learned so many theory, but the application of these theories are where I've always channeled my energy to, and this, I think, will go a long way to assist me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me give Habitat. Habitat, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. My question is still based on prototype. Is there any difference between engineering design and prototype? Because we're having issue with prototype in my group.
Okay. Okay. So let me explain this. Okay. If you, let's assume you want to design, you want to produce something. So to produce something that people will be using, let's say scooter. Let's use the project people doing scooter. I'm just using their own as an example. For us to ride scooter, okay, we need to see it in the physical world. And that's why one of these projects you are doing is very, very important. Yes, it is challenging. Yes, that's the way it's designed to be. It's designed to challenge you to think about how do you start from ideas to creating something physical that people can use. Because when I teach in my class here, I tell them, apart from all the things God created, every other thing you can see in this world were made by man. And at the foundation of it is engineering. Okay. You think of the cars, the houses, the train, the railways, the road, the buildings, the furnitures, the clothing, the shoes, the cup, the food, packaged food, TV, phone, computer, everything. And they did not just jump out. They started from imagination. They started from physics, chemistry, mathematics, biology. And then using scientific method, we now create a conjecture of how we can leverage physics, materials, processes to create this, put these things together to become a system. That is how all these projects, all these things, items around us, that's how they come to be. So to create a scooter, you now think, okay, what is a scooter? A scooter should be able to run, therefore they should be tire. It should be a place to, the person will sit on it or stand on it, or there should be a place the person should, hold it, it should roll. So, and instead of thinking, you can just go online and say, okay, let us look at designs of scooters. And the brief say it should be solar powered. Then in searching, whether you through ChatGPT or Google Scholar or Google Page, you now describe, that's what is called prompt engineering. You now say, okay, give us images of electric power scooter. You're already doing research. Okay, you're already doing research because you want to know what is out there first before you start designing yours. If you know what is out there, you know what people are complaining about the designs, you now know how to make your own design better. So once you see it, you say, okay, this one is this, we don't like this, we want to change this, we want to add this, we want to remove this, we want to do that. Then after doing all those analyses of what exists, you can come up with your own design. And your own design may start from sketching something with hand. Then if you sketch something with hand, you can manufacture it. Because at times the engineers are not the ones that manufacture it. If you design, you give it to technicians to manufacture. Then when you sketch it, what's his name? John was talking about dimensioning. So how tall will the scooter be? How long will the scooter be? Where will the tire be? Okay, so when you now start dimensioning, designing, like you are now doing engineering design. When you finish designing it that way, you now know the dimension. You also know the processes. If you are dealing with something that has with processes, what from the beginning to the end. Okay, for instance, people working with juicer. Okay, if you add the fruit and turn on the button, it will juice. So what is the mechanism to extract the juice and separate the juice from the fiber? Okay, and also how will the solar power charge it? So if it is charging it, does it mean that the juicer will be using battery to store the energy? So these are sciences and physics that you now start thinking and design solutions. To design, okay, say, okay, you can also go and look at, because for any problem you are trying to solve, others may also encounter the same problem and they are also devising solutions. So you can also look at how they design the juicer using this. So once you finish designing, you finish your design and everything, you can say, oh, we don't have materials, actual materials to do this. Can we use alternative? That's where we will now start doing what is called improvisation. At times you see people that use scraps, or you can see something that is damaged, and you say, oh, can I take this damaged item and remove a part from it and then combine it with other parts? And probably, oh, I think we need to just buy one component. You see, so you can recycle, you can and if you recycle, it's part of SDG. As you are doing this thing, you are documenting the decisions you are taking and the procedures you are passing, and you are constantly going back to the brief, because that's what we are going to be assessed with. You go to the brief says session 1, at least if you cannot do this 100%, let's do it 50%, but let's do this 100% because we can do it. Okay, so once you finish designing and all of that, detailed design is usually sent to the technicians. They will now start fabricating. They can fabricate and manufacture, and then you now have a prototype. But in this case, you may not produce a real prototype. You may use materials, scrap materials, recycled materials to create your prototype. Or you may just do the like somebody working on lamp. You may just show the diagrams, all everything, and then connect it, show how it's going to work and how it can be manufactured if it is being manufactured in full. So I don't know whether what I've said made any sense, but what I'm, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, look at me.
Yes, Lucy, go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
What I'm saying in this is it like we are going to design this our juice, the instrument ourselves?
You see, this is why we say people should include engineers in their team. Okay.
Wow.
So if you are not able to design it, can you sketch it? Can you demonstrate that it can work? So if you are not able, because not everybody who wants to solve problem must be engineer.
Okay.
You may be a medical person and you have imagination of the tool you want to create. You can sketch it, design it, draw it, show how it's going to work, demonstrate the flows, the processes, the physics behind it, and all of that. If you stop there, that's a significant progress. So it's now assumed, okay, since you can say, oh, part of the weakness of our team is that we don't have any mechanical engineer or electrical engineer or any engineer, coincidentally. And nobody's going to say, well, you people have failed woefully because it's just by coincidence that you don't have mechanical engineer. Okay. So we can now say, okay, at least they understand the details and everything, and they've sketched it. So that's a model too. So you can do a model. It's not the same thing as just looking at something on the internet and drawing it. So if you are sketching it, at least the dimensions. And another thing is this. Another aspect I want you to take, which is also because what we are doing is practical. We are not doing theory here. Assuming you have a problem, wouldn't you ask people around you? Assuming that you don't have a mechanical engineer in your team, and you know a mechanical engineer that you know, or a friend, or a friend of a friend, and you say, okay, we are trying to solve this problem. Do you have any recommendation for us? And the person is ready to assist. Is anything wrong with that? If you are solving a real problem, is that not what you would have done? So we are not going to, so that becomes a resources that you use. So the person becomes a resources that you use. I'm not saying that you should outsource your learning to others, but if you use other people's skills to achieve this project, it is part of your being resourceful. Because if you cannot persuade somebody to do something for you, then you don't have communication skill, and then you will not achieve it. So by using your interpersonal skill, by building relationship in the past, and now you have a problem, and you are now going to leverage it to solve a problem. That is what we want. It's part of the advantages. It's part of the learning. So
Okay.
yeah, I don't want you to be constrained. I want you to let your imaginations and creativity loose. The focus is how do we solve these problems, and what resources around me, within me, can I pull from to solve the problem? Is there any other question, response, and all of it? Just feel very, very free. We are just having a conversation and discussing how this is, because I just want you to also be aware that the world is moving towards distributed working. People work from home, people work from Africa, they work for companies in Canada, Asia, UK, and although you will not be using WhatsApp, you may be using something like Microsoft Teams, and you contribute virtually. You may never see your team members in person. So yet you are working with them, you are discussing with them, you are understanding them. So this is also part of the learning. Because at the end of the day, we are all focusing on how all of us will work together, put our resources and skills together to solve the problem before us, which is either to prototype a scooter or to prototype a juicer or all of that. So that is what is bringing all of us together. And all of us, we have to collaborate and cooperate to get that done. Habitat, please.
So does that mean our project can be in form of picture, not compulsory something we constructed physically?
Picture is not a diagram. If you draw something, if you sketch something, it's different from a picture. A picture is if you take a picture, you download a picture from the internet and include. That's not it. If you select, let me give you an idea. If you select, okay, if you are working on scooter, let me go to people working on. I've used scooter a lot. Let me go to people working on. Okay, is there anyone you want me to use as an example? Any group? I've used lamp. I've used scooter. I've used juicer. Huh? Okay, let's assume that you want to do that of juicer. Okay, and you go online. You download research papers. You do your research, and you have different prototypes. Okay, so you can list the characteristics. You can say prototype A. You can leave the image there and list the characteristics. Prototype B, you can include the image in your report and list the characteristics. Prototype C, then you can this is when you want to add value to that research activity. You can now say, okay, this prototype A, it does not have this, but we want it in our own. The prototype B, it has this, but we would have loved it to the shape. We don't like the shape, or we don't like the positioning of any aspect of the features. Okay, then what we are going to do, we are going to create our own, okay, and add the features we want that are not existing in all these current ones. Then you now create your own that will now be different from what is existing out there. When you do that, you've added value, you created value, and then you can now take it forward from there. I don't know whether I'm able to explain it properly. So don't just download images and say, oh, this is our image, this is what we want, and then we draw the same thing. No, that's not research. So you need to compare and contrast and then critically analyze and then propose your own features and models. Okay. Gifts, go ahead.
Okay, great. Thanks to everyone. Thank you so much. This has been so educative and interesting. So I have two questions. One is from the briefings. Based on the design specification, are we to be specific in the design? Let me say the components of the machines. Let me say I want to make a 10 kg tracer, for instance. Everything that will make up that machine should be specific, not in range. Let me give another example. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, it should be specific. Okay, then the next question is, what about the cost of them?
Now, I tell you this. They always remember what I said about spectrum. Okay, if design is iterative, what that means is that you do the first sketch, you repeat it, you keep doing that over and over again, adding more features, removing some features, reducing some dimensions, and then you can even show that transition between the first concept, and you can even draw 3 concepts and use a Paul matrix to say, okay, between design A, B, and C, which one are we going for? You can take a decision. It shows how you took decision and arrive at, okay, we are going for design B because it's better, or because of the features. Okay, so just also Google Paul matrix and see how it's used to take decisions. So if you say, you can say, oh, we are designing for 10 kg. Okay, why 10 kg? Why not 5 kg? Why not 20 kg? So you know why you are taking that decision. Then if you have, for instance, if there is a component like a motor that has to drive the torque or the force that should juice 10 kg, power that 10 kg. So that dimension or capacity will now begin to influence the composition. However, when you want to do your prototype, you can miniaturize it. You can reduce the scale down if you are getting to that extent. If not, you can just demonstrate whatever you can demonstrate. Yeah, what's the second question? Hello, Gift. What is the second question?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please.
Okay. The second question is, what are the costs of the design? Let me say I'm asked to specifically design a juicer using solar panel. So, and now at the cost of it, I now discover there are limitations. And now want to integrate solution in that design. Is it out of context or still within context?
That is what is recommended. That is the creativity and innovation aspect of it. And that shows that you people are analyzing it. But don't miss that point of describing that limitation and the decision took, because that's where the points are. So decision, what decisions are you taking? What inform those choices? And how did you implement them? So these are the points. Okay, these are where you don't need to write too many things. It is about just show how you reflected on the challenges and how you overcame them. Okay, so it's not, as long as it's solar powered, that's the key thing, because if it is not solar powered, it's going to be using fossil fuel. It's going to be drawing from fossil fuel, and we want it to be distributed, which means that somebody in the village can use it. Somebody anywhere can use it without plugging it into a national grid. So as long as it has that solar aspect, you can, any other design can be anything. You can do whatever you want with the design and the processes. Yeah, is there any other question?
Okay.
Feedback?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any other feedback? Yes, Obasi Grace. Go ahead. Hello, Grace. You're muted. Go ahead. So, yeah, after Grace, we can start winding down. I think we spent 1 hour. Yeah, go ahead. Obasi Grace, you're muted. Hello, Grace. Hello, Grace. You're muted. Or you don't intend to talk? You're muted. Yes, you can talk now.
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry I joined late. So my question is, I want to know how far the discussion have been, like just a briefing about
Okay. Okay. Okay, so what will happen, Grace? Your mic is breaking.
Sorry, back. Sorry.
Okay, so what will happen is that after this, we will upload it on our YouTube channel and share it with all the groups. Okay, so that you can have those who did not attend can watch. Also, members of your group that attended, they can also summarize what we discussed. I hope you took notes. If you didn't take notes, try to summarize what was discussed here, particularly some of these questions that people ask. Your group may be encountering the same challenge. Summarize it and deposit it for your groups so that you can then start working with it. Another thing I can say is that if you want this type of meeting in the future, maybe later in April, we can also host it so that we can also have this type of chat if you find it useful. Thank you. So with this, I want to thank you once again for coming around. If any member of your group is not working, try to divide your task and get them to work. If somebody fails to work after encouragement, just let us know, give us the number, and we can remove the person from the group. Emeka, please go ahead before we close.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Yeah.
I don't have much to say. I just want to say good afternoon, because it will be out of place if I join a meeting of this type and I did not talk. The section is actually good because it is actually giving us an insight of what we are supposed to achieve. Meanwhile, just like one of our colleagues commented, there are some people that are not taking the work serious. We call on meetings and it will be as if the work is left for just few persons. So, sir, you have already said it, that if we discover that there are people who are not contributory to the progress of the research, will let you know so that people do the needful. Because it will be out of place if some group of people work, and then some persons will just come and join and reap for what they did not work for. So I really thank the organizers of this program because it's actually insightful and interesting. Thank you very much, sir, for giving us this opportunity to share our challenges, our progress so far. Then we are waiting for coming up with reasonable progress that we are going to present at the end of next month. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, have a nice weekend and have a fantastic Easter weekend. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.